guys, welcome back to We Watch Movie. I'm Mike.
I'm Jay.
And this is the script recap, the review of the movie that almost happened, that was almost the sequel to Freddy vs. Jason.
It was directed by Sean Connery.
Sean Connery's
birthday.
That's right. Shit. It's a grunge thing. The movie that almost happened, that was this fucking close, according to Robert Englund himself, almost happened.
What was it?
Versus Jason versus Ash.
Ooh.
From Evil Dead.
That would have been a sexual dynamite mixture that we all can appreciate.
I'd have watched it.
The script that we did review, it's not really like a traditional script. You know, there's not.
It's a treatment.
It's a treatment. But it was actually, it's done in a way that's easy to read, and it's only like 17 pages or something. It almost feels like what they were doing to pitch the idea, which is what the treatment is. It's actually done extremely well. And the idea and how they bring Ash into the universe of Jason and Freddy makes perfect fucking sense.
It's glorious.
Especially since they cite Jason Goes to Hell, that the Necronomicon poked its head up a little bit like a turtle head in your butt and said, hey, there it is. There's the Necronomicon and Jason Goes to Hell. It all makes sense.
And Freddy's glove was hanging up in Ash's workshop.
So it's all there. It's already there for you to like have sex with. And you're like, you know what? Let's just do it, okay?
It could happen.
It's Christmas time. So it's winter. So we get to have Jason in the snow.
No, dude.
Triumphant. But we have that. So that's going on. And the characters from the first movie are back. The survivors of FVJ. FVJ sounds like a shitty peanut butter brand that nobody buys. But Freddy vs. Jason, the survivors of that go back and they're pissed off and looking around. They die immediately. That shit is done.
Yeah.
Jason whoops that ass. And I do love the title sequence because they're like when Jason... Because what you find out essentially also is that the reason why Freddy has survived is because he hung on to the little tiny dingleberry psyche of Jason's mind because he scared the inner child so fucking badly that he's able to live in the brain. Yeah. That's a fucked up way to live.
So the end of Freddy vs. Jason shows Jason carrying Freddy's head. Mm-hmm. But Freddy lives on because Freddy fucked him up so bad in those little sequences that he's still a little bit scared of Freddy.
You ugly little shit.
Yeah.
What I was saying, the title sequence though for sure is like the way that they were going to open it with the survivors being killed, because what happens is Jason kills the survivors from Freddy versus Jason, and then he sees Freddy and he gets mad and he starts thwacking it like the way it's like thwack, 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 and like each time he was hitting it, the screen is bursting with the credits. I was like, I love this shit.
I like what you've done here, Jim.
I would only
moved to strike.
I would only hope that they would have the Scorpions playing while this is going on. Here I am.
That a rat? Round and down.
I was thinking,
rat?
Rat, yeah. He's like, we have a rat problem.
That's what
and then in the basement.
I'll tell you why.
But I would definitely move to have like an 80s like hair band, like maybe a one-hit wonder kind of group to. But anyway, so that's the way it opens. You don't really you find out afterwards that. Well, because the S-Mart is being built, you're introduced basically to the cast from Ash versus the Evil Dead. That was the series on Starz. Like
close to it, yeah.
Literally, Raoul, Courtney, they're literally the same people almost.
Yeah, and it's really cool how they put S-Mart in there because, again, they're changing...
Shop smart.
Yeah, they're changing the name of Crystal Lake, and they're all celebrating the end of... Like, they want to put Jason in their past, so Crystal Lake's changing their name.
Because that always works.
They're updating the city. It's like the plot for Out Cold, basically. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, they're bringing... And they have an S-Mart that's coming in as a part of the thing. So Ash pulls into town in his car that his
70s Oldsmobile.
Yeah, and he pulls into town, and then you find out that like he's still working for S-Mart, and he's still like a low level person.
But it's a cover.
They put him in like the home goods department, and he's working there, and there's all these angry customers, and Ash is like dejected, and he has to deal with shitty customers all the time, and these young people are his managers, and he's trying to figure out his way through this. But what Ash is actually doing, as you mentioned, he's a cover. What he's actually doing is he's there because he wants to finish what started after Army of Darkness and all that stuff like that. He wants to find the Necronomicon and destroy it.
At this point, Jason's having nightmares, and he walks out of his secret hut society home in the middle of nowhere, and he walks into 1970s Crystal Lake, and you see the typical 1970s Crystal Lake, people fucking and smoking weed. But he's like, but something's different. He goes to these two older folk underneath some covers, and Freddy is laying the pipe to Pamela, fucking the shit out of her.
His mom,
and he was
dude.
like, and he pulls the covers off, and then Pamela is like, wait, I gotta tell you something, Jason. Mother needed dick, Jason. But no, what she said,
I couldn't take it.
I took it, but it wasn't as big as I thought, Jason. But what she says is like, look, if you want Freddy out of your dreams, if you want this to end, you gotta go retrieve the Necronomicon so Freddy can be freed from your mind, and also he can resurrect me and also give you something that you've always wanted, which is intelligence. It actually made me kind of sad because they were like, you know, at the core of what Jason always has wanted is he's always wanted his mom to come back from the dead, but also he's always wanted like intelligence. It felt like the fucking Cowardly Lion going up. It's like, I just want some courage. It's like, but you've always had it, sir. But
it's like my 600-pound life.
yeah, it was like, God, dude, like, why you, like, I know you're mean and you wear a hockey mask and you got mommy issues, but like, why you gotta make me feel bad?
Yeah, he just wants to be smart. He wants to be as smart as at least the counselors.
So what she says essentially is like, you gotta go to my home. Pamela Voorhees says, you gotta go to my home that appeared in Jason Goes to Hell, and you gotta get the Necronomicon, the Book of the Dead, that's in the basement. So at the same time, what you realize is that this puts Ash and Jason on a collision course already. Right away, that's how they're gonna meet up. So it's not like you know, fucking Shakespearean or anything, but it makes perfect sense on why they both, because Ash needs to destroy the Necronomicon, Jason needs the Necronomicon to get this bullshit migraine out of his head called Freddy Boogers, and like get that gone, and then get smart.
And that's what she tells him too. She's like, and again, this is Freddy playing with Jason's mind. He's using Pamela against Jason, and she tells him, go get the Necronomicon. I'll take Freddy out of your mind. I'll give you both what you want. I'll take Freddy out, and then you'll get intelligence, and then you guys can use the Necronomicon for whatever. But eventually Jason shows up at S-Mart, and that's when that's the first big fucking scene,
I love the way it's
awesome.
described, because if they say that it makes the you know, the cornfield scene like almost non-existence, because they were gonna go up another level. They were gonna jack your shit into Mountain Dew Surge and like have you fucking taking like shots of Mountain Dew and Monster at the same time while snorting vodka. It was all gonna be a bunch of shit. Like, and like I could see it, like him walking in there and just fucking slicing people the fuck up.
And that's what they say. Like, Jason shows up at S-Mart, and through the scene, the way they played out, so fucking cool. Like, and first off, before I say anything else, this whole script, like this whole treatment it's genius. Like, as much as we're against like pitting these people together now, when people are starting to take slashers seriously, and it's kind of like a later game thing when like slashers are being overdone a little bit, and you've got some slasher fatigue. This treatment, such a good idea. I think it could actually happen now. Jason shows up at S-Mart,
but he's only there because I think Ash had already got the book.
Well, no, well, that's the whole thing. Ash goes to his house.
Yeah.
Because so let me backtrack a little bit for a second here. The hot chick that he was chasing, he finds out that her and her douchebag friends are actually there to celebrate the last days of Crystal Lake, and they want to go stay in his house. Ash goes there, and like you've got this awesome scene where Ash is searching through his house, Jason's house, for the Necronomicon, but upstairs they're partying.
And you see those two shots, dual shots. Jason going up and murdering the fucking people that are like crashing his mom's house, and then fucking Ash in the basement trying to steal shit.
Yeah.
Like that would, because I could see it like the way that they would dynamically shoot both of those. You see him slicing, and then Ash like, you know, farting around in the basement. It'd be funny as fuck.
But ultimately what it leads to is Jason showing up at S-Mart. He's stomping through there, and he's killing like shoppers. Like
Terminator
he's killing them left and right nonstop.
Like a fucking Walmart mom at Black Friday. Like no matter.
Faced off against Ash, and like Ash is like literally using everything in S-Mart. Like imagine Jason and Ash fighting in the middle of a Walmart where Ash is just grabbing like toasters,
what I was thinking
and like throwing it at him.
When I was reading that scene, all I could think of is Stone Cold Steve Austin versus fucking Booker T.
In the grocery store.
Like just the most wild, like flour, tennis balls, fucking rackets, like everything. Like
that scene alone would have made the whole thing fucking worth it.
And you know, and again, the treatment doesn't like describe exactly. It just says think like, you know, crazy different items that he's going to use to attack Jason with, and he won't die. And he, you know, it was going to be awesome. The way that it's set up, it would have been fucking phenomenal. Oh my God.
And the treatment does that a lot. The treatment a lot of times leaves it up to the directors and the writers to actually make it cool.
Fill it in. Yeah.
He's like, wouldn't it be cool if, you know, if at one point Ash takes a bunch of stuff, puts it in a microwave, turns it on, and then it explodes in Jason's face.
That'd be cool.
He's like, then you get the right idea. But they have this amazing scene that I couldn't imagine.
Those aren't Pop-Tarts.
Ash versus Jason one-on-one. Meanwhile, again, Freddy is in Jason's head, and he's fucking with him. He wants to use the Necronomicon to give himself the power to not only be in the dream world, but also be as powerful in the real world.
Kind of like in Freddy 6 when he says every town has an Elm Street. He wants to be able to torture you awake or asleep and collect all the souls that he wants to. And the fact is, when he gives, because Jason ultimately recovers the fucking Necronomicon from S-Mart after that badass Terminator style fucking attack that he does on it. When they read the passages or whatever, and he come and Freddy pops out and he gets the thing. I think he says something like he has to give Jason a little something because he knows that Jason won't keep going for him unless. So he does give. So you get like, it's pretty fucking kind of scary combo. You get a little smarter of a fucking like. Jason, like a Riddick Bowe. He's like fucking Riddick Bowe. Riddick Bowe's not exactly the smartest motherfucker in the world, but it's like a Riddick Bowe if you guys are boxing fans. But it's kind of like that. So now he knows that Jason. He's like, listen, if you want to bring your mom back, then you gotta go. You gotta go take care of Ash. You gotta go kill him. You gotta get rid of him.
So after this whole thing at the S-Mart, and by the way, Jason fucks up all these kids that were in his house. There's a bunch of death scenes that happens there, which would have been cool to see too.
Stuff, yeah.
But after the whole S-Mart scene,
but we also point out that, by the way, how cool it would have been to see the fucking blood splattered snow and Jason stalking through the fucking.
There's so much snow and like ice in this script. I've always wanted to see Jason in the snow, and this really would have delivered that so well. But while Ash is asleep, Freddy fucking jumps into his dream world, fucks with him, and then instead of Ash's hands being cut off and being chainsaw, Ash's hands become
that was one
Freddy's glove.
That was fucking bad. It reminded me of Nightmare 2.
Yeah, it was cool as shit the way they did that. So then Ash,
he dances.
Yeah,
he did.
Ash wakes himself up by taking his boomstick and burning his face, and he wakes up, and then when he realizes he has the burn, it's basically Ash having a Freddy Krueger moment, and he's like, okay, no, wait, Freddy's here too.
Right.
This is also happening as well. So then you've got this intense scene of all that shit going on. Now Freddy's included in the whole thing.
And it was badass though to see that when he has the dream of Ash and he's in the cabin again in Evil Dead.
Yeah.
And it was badass to fuck like because the whole idea is that Freddy takes Ash back to the actual cabin in Evil Dead, and like Mike said, the hand goes bad, but it's Freddy's glove. And so, but he does the same thing. He goes to the workshop, cuts his fucking hand off, and then you see Freddy there, and there's a bunch of gloves coming at him, and like, but you know, obviously. People were like, oh, it's going to be great because they have this showdown between one another. They're both wise-talking assholes, and they both are like, you look like a burnt-faced wiener.
Yeah, there's a point later in the script where finally Ash, and the script says that, it's like, finally you get what you've been waiting for. It was just two, cool. Like, wisest cracking tongues in the game against each other. But Freddy talking shit and Ash talking shit, and they face off for a minute, and that's really cool.
I just think it's badass that they brought the cabin back in it. And they recreate Evil Dead 2 in that moment.
Yeah.
God damn, that's fucking badass.
There's so much good shit in
Do
this,
not
man.
Tell me, Fitz.
And that's what it all boils down to. In the end of it, after all this crazy shit happens, Freddy gets his way. Jason at one point gets intelligence. So like you get this one point where these two S-Mart employees are trying to fuck with Jason.
That shit was funny.
But Jason walks in and you can tell that he's like a little bit smarter than he was before.
Oh,
so and then he stops. He's like, this is a fucking crap.
He reminded me of Batman and Robin Bane because it said all he did was because they had set up like Home Alone traps in the fucking house to trap Jason. He walked into the door and he's like,
not today.
Just like it's in the trailer. Just like he shakes his head. He's like,
and then he kills him.
It was the first time you've ever seen Jason use like actual intelligence. He's like, wait a minute, you motherfucker just waiting on me? Like, there's got to be something afoot.
And Jason with a little bit of intelligence is scary as fuck. But at this point, Freddy has gotten a hold of the Necronomicon and he's already started his whole game. So Freddy has taken it over. He's not in your dreams. He's in real life. You've got a couple badass scenes between Freddy and Ash where Freddy like shows up again and starts using the glove against Ash and stuff like that. You've got another scene where Jason and Freddy are fighting inside the house and they meet up because Jason realizes like, oh, you fucking tricked me.
Yeah.
So Jason starts like beelining it back.
I thought you were my dog.
He starts beelining it back towards Freddy and starts fucking him up. And then in an amazing scene, Freddy uses the Necronomicon to bring Jason's victims back to life.
I loved that.
Dude, imagine the dude in the wheelchair coming back.
The guy with the chocolate bar. Well, it wasn't really that wasn't really his victim, but they did mention the ones that he had the couple that he impaled together, the wheelchair guy, and then there was another one that came back. And they keep dogpiling him. That would have been fucking incredible to see. Yeah. Oh my shit!
And Jason's like hacking his way because Jason's so fucking pissed because he realizes that Freddy tricked him.
So I killed these motherfuckers. He's gonna bring back my old ghost.
So he's being pulled down by all these classic Friday characters, which is the coolest idea ever.
Awesome.
And he's hacking through them and he's trying to get his way back to it. At one point, you've also got Ash and the S-Mart employees in a total 80s scene. They go back to S-Mart after it's been Rampage and they start to gather weapons. And like you said, said, they make their Home Alone stuff so commando, so fucking.
Well, and then there was also, it kept focusing on the treatment that there was a mega badass super chainsaw that Ash keeps eyeballing. When they were in the house and Freddy and Jason were fighting, there was one part where Jason gets his fucking hand lobbed off.
Yes.
And he fucking puts his goddamn hand, and they even described it as like a very grotesque scene, that Jason puts his hand onto the machete and like makes it a fucking machete hand.
He looks at Ash and see what he's done with the chainsaw.
It's fucking
and then
badass.
He decides to do the same thing with his machete.
And then he slices at Ash. I'm like, that.
Man.
I was like, somebody gonna sue you from Puppet Master because that's all Blade. That's fucking Blade. But they, like, I can imagine seeing that.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm a chop. He fucking.
I'll cut you to knees.
And then fucking Jason be like, oh, and then you know, Ash being like, oh shit.
Yeah, and that's a really cool scene too, because like Jason and Freddy are fighting and they're going at it, and Ash keeps trying to get involved with the fight, but they're like throwing him
Yeah,
like
he's
he's
just
nothing.
human.
And Ash gets fucked up, and it keeps coming back, and it keeps getting fucked up, and
awesome.
eventually he gets thrown into the snow while all this stuff's going on. But ultimately, what happens is Freddy gets his way. He's got control over everything, and they end up on the ice of Crystal Lake. And Freddy turns the ice into fucking blood.
But they gotta say, like, Jason and Freddy are battling on the fucking lake, and they don't give fucks. And then Ash
And the
got
lake
mad.
is blood boiling.
Yeah, and Ash got mad, and he's like, fuck this shit, and he drives his 70s Oldsmobile onto the ice and knocks them over and over again, like he's hitting them. And then it finally cracks in, and Jason is buried underneath the ice with the Oldsmobile. Freddy's coming back at him. The girl finally starts reading the Necronomicon. The thing is, I thought was cool is that once she starts reading it and the wind picks up and the actual portal opens up, the same portal that was in Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, that same portal, it says the skin starts tearing away from Freddy, like his skin, and it's like the pathetic pedophile normal human that he is underneath. Freddy grabs the book or whatever, and then Bruce Campbell like gets his like classic chainsaw, goes up right underneath his fucking sternum, and then has the shotgun, and then fucking boomsticks him out of the fucking, and, you know, there he goes off into the portal.
Yeah, and that actually was the crux of why the movie did not happen, because the whole treatment was, and Robert Englund was down with this too. Robert Englund was like, I would much rather have, because he was done wearing the makeup at this point, he was like, I would much rather have someone like Ash kill off Freddy and end it forever, rather than do what we did in Freddy's Dead.
Like another 16-year-old virgin.
Yeah, and that's what they wanted, but that ended up being the boiling point with New Line Cinema, where and the fight with Sam Raimi and New Line, which is why this movie never happened, because what Sam Raimi and what Bruce Campbell wanted was for Ash to end Freddy forever. And then at the end of the script, what happens is Freddy gets buried under the ice, and they had Jason gets buried under the ice. And they had plans for another Jason movie, and they also they had plans to make a Freddy prequel without the makeup. They had all these plans for all these movies down the line, but what ended up canceling the Ash vs. Jason vs. Freddy movie is that New Line said, well, we can't...
Suck a butt, we don't care what the fans want.
They said, we cannot have Ash kill Freddy Krueger, because they were like, these guys can't die. And Bruce Campbell famously was like, that's why these movies are so stupid.
And you know, it was really nice of them, because if you read the treatment, it even says in bold at the very bottom, if they wanted, you know, if Sam wants Bruce Campbell's character of Ash to be sucked into the vortex as well, and then wind up in a different time era, and then, you know, kind of go on his journey. Yeah. Perfect.
But it was a genius idea. They had it all planned out.
Great.
The script, the treatment was really, really, really fucking good, and it was really, really well done. And I'm sad as shit that it didn't happen.
I really am too. I feel like if you got some good writers on it, I think that if you got people that believed in it, I think that if Blumhouse had been around back then and they had been interested in it, I think you would have got a really good team around it. And a quality fucking script would have come out of it. And the thing is, it boggles my mind, you know, the fact that they were so against it. Well, yeah, obviously The Grudge did do really well. Like it was a smash hit. Everybody knows that. And it scared the fuck out of me. I hate goddamn Kyoka. And she's all twisty and nasty, and she comes from a shower, and she doesn't wash her hair. That fucking ghost girl scares me. I get it. But at the same time, this movie could have been gold. Like, you're talking about Freddy versus Jason it was a good hit. Like it did very well at the box office. Yeah. Obviously well enough that they were even considering a Michael Myers versus a Pinhead at some point, because they were like, oh, we got to get in on this. But this movie would have been bigger and better than that. It would have been one of the best crossover movies of all time. And at the same time, like, why the fuck would you not think that you can't go on and do your own thing? Like, Friday the 13th could have existed in its own universe.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we were talking about, DC and Marvel. You could make independent movies that have nothing to do with one another at all.
That's the whole thing. The only problem with Freddy versus Jason was that you had these teens that you didn't give a shit about recruiting Jason and being the heroes. If you bring in Ash and it's somebody
immediately you're on his side.
You really care about, and he's the good guy, and he's the guy who wins out in the end. That was the problem. New Line didn't want Ash to win, and that's why the movie never fucking happened.
And obviously, I'm not saying anything against the Stars show. I love Ash vs. Evil Dead was a fucking great show, and it was a great send off for Bruce Campbell for sure, like definitely. But I would have loved to see if the last time I ever knew that Bruce Campbell was going to put his arm inside the vagina of a fucking chainsaw was going to be against Jason and Freddy. I'd say let's do that. And by the way, they also considered fucking. And I think it's cool that they thought about this because they considered Michael Myers, they considered Pinhead, they considered Leprechaun, they considered the Tall Man, they considered a bunch of different movie horror characters to be in the Freddy Jason universe, but then ultimately they were like, it doesn't fit at all in his universe.
But Ash is the perfect fit.
And they were like, and then they were like, on top of that, even if you were trying to get them, the complexities to make a deal with the other studios would be so much, because you'd be like, I don't really even think that they belong in the universe.
Yeah.
But Ash, I would have argued that Pinhead might belong in it because the Necronomicon and Hell and all that stuff, but Ash is the perfect anti-hero. He's the perfect guy that would end Freddy forever. And why wouldn't you? If your fucking main guy, Robert Englund, came to you and said, I don't like the makeup, it smells like pancakes and it's too heavy, I don't want to be it.
Yeah, it takes 3.5 hours a day to put on. Fuck this.
He's like, well, we got Bruce Campbell over there, and he's like, he wants to kill you. He's like, I won't do that.
Yeah, and he was into it.
Yeah,
that's Robert Englund wanted it, and Robert Englund himself said it was this close to happening. The treatment was there. I think it. And here's the big thing for me is if you bring in some hack writers and they just want to write a shitty dopey ass horror movie, then the movie could have sucked. But if you brought in somebody like Sam Raimi and you brought in somebody to really do that, the treatment had all the elements there of your everyman, your Ash, your hero, somebody you could really get behind, not some dumb teen that you didn't give a shit about, being your hero. And then you've got Freddy versus Jason. Jason survives. You give Freddy an amazing ending, and you got 4 different sequels to bank off of. It was such a genius, well thought out idea. And eventually, it did turn out to be a comic series, which, again, when we're done with the Halloween comic series, we're going to do a full-on recap of these comics as well. But ultimately, it's a shame the movie never happened. It would have been really cool to see what would have happened had they done that, but it didn't happen, and that's where the fuck we are.
And I think it's stupid anybody to say, well, that would have ended the franchises. I was like, no, it wouldn't have. Like, I feel like it would have been just an independent one-off, just like the Freddy versus Jason is an independent. Nobody remembers, like, when they remade Friday the 13th in 2009, they don't like reference what happened in Freddy versus Jason. It was for the fans, and everybody got involved. This would be for the fans as well, and I think it would have been more successful than Freddy versus Jason. It would have been something. It would have been something actually like a full, like the full circle. Because it started with Freddy versus Jason with winking. Well. Yeah, it was. Yeah, you'd have to get the right director, and again, I would have done I would have sucked a lot of dick on the side of 5th Avenue for free. Fifth Avenue for free.
Again,
I wouldn't even charge 5 cents. But I would do that, to have Sam Raimi direct it.
Yeah.
I think either him or, which you never get him, but John Carpenter. Imagine if it was written by Sam Raimi and directed by Carpenter.
I think Sam Raimi would be the perfect choice for that, especially how it goes. But, it didn't happen, and the past is the past, but that's why we do these script recaps. They're super fucking fun. And by the way, shout out to Bloody Disgusting. They're the ones that made this treatment available and all this news and stuff available. If you're new to the channel here, guys, we have a bunch of script recaps. We do the Halloween 4 that never happened, all these movies that never happened. It's one of our favorite things to do is dig into these deep scripts and talk about it. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you check out our old videos and stuff like that. Thank you guys for hanging out with us this long, and we hope you guys had fun. We hope you enjoyed this, and we'll be back with more of this shit, so click that fucking subscribe button, you piece of shit.
Damn.
Give me some sugar, baby.
Fucking wolf packet right here. Wolf packet.
Woo!
Woo!
We love your fucking faces. If you're new to the channel, click that subscribe button and get some goddamn whim up in
It's too sweet.
Shop smart. Shop S-Mart.
I heard they got great deals.